Defense may be the hardest thing to scale on an NBA player. Sometimes we look at blocks and steals, which are in my opinion very overrated stats, and use that to determine whether a player is good on defense or not. We also use advanced metrics like defensive rating and defensive win shares, which can also be misleading, depending on who you're on the court with and who you're going up against. Welcome to part 4 of my 2017 NBA Award Series, where I break down my personal ballot for each NBA award, as well as my actual predictions. In this video, I will be breaking down this year's Defensive Player of the Year. Kawhi Leonard beat the odds by becoming the first perimeter player to win this award since Ron Artest in 2004. He is currently the two-time defending winner of this award. But did he do enough to make it a third straight campaign? My third place pick for Defensive Player of the Year is Andre Drummond. I really went back and forth between Drummond and Dwight Howard here. Drummond doesn't really pass the eye test for me, so I was really looking for any excuse not to pick him. But Dwight Howard had too many defensive players on his team, so his defensive rating was going to be good no matter what. Although he was the best defensive player on his team, Drummond just had the bigger impact. Now before I say why I chose Drummond, let's get a few things out of the way. The Pistons did not make the playoffs, I know. The Pistons are not a top 10 defense, I also know. And Drummond isn't a good defender. That's what some people might think. Okay, so first, I know that the Pistons didn't make the playoffs, but that shouldn't take away from the season that Andre Drummond had on defense. This is not an MVP award. And yes, I understand that Detroit was not a top 10 defense, but that was mainly due to what they did with Drummond out of the game. Drummond actually led the league in defensive rating, with no other teammates in the top 20. He ranked number 3 in defensive win shares, despite playing on a 37-win team, and he finished in 7th place in defensive box plus minus. Other than the two players that I mentioned later, no one has those numbers. And one of the main reasons why I believe Drummond is so effective on defense is his insane rebounding numbers. Despite playing in less minutes than he did last season, he still finished second in NBA in rebounding and led the league in defensive rebounding percentage. If you missed a shot while Drummond was on the floor, you most likely weren't getting a second chance to take that shot. He even averaged 1.5 steals and he's a center. And for those of you that think Drummond is not a good defender, you're partially right, but the numbers say otherwise. And that's why he's number 3 instead of being number 1 or 2. Now that we got that out of the way, there is a huge gap between number 3 and number 2. My second place pick for Defensive Player of the Year is Rudy Gobert. Yes, not only is Gobert in the running for most improved, he has a real chance to win Defensive Player as well. This year Gobert led the league and averaged a career high in blocks, while also piloting the Utah Jazz into being one of the NBA's top defenses. Gobert also led the league in defensive win shares, while placing 3rd in both defensive rating and defensive box plus minus. There are other factors that support Rudy Gobert's placement here, but I do believe that it's safe to say that Rudy Gobert makes his team defense better every time he steps on the court. But for as great as Rudy Gobert was on defense, there was one player that was better than Gobert, and that player is Draymond Green. Draymond Green was a real playmaker on defense, as he led the league in steals and placed 12th in blocks. He also led the league in defensive rating and came in 2nd for both defensive win shares and defensive box plus minus. There really isn't much that Draymond didn't do on defense for the Golden State Warriors this season. He shifted from both perimeter defender and rim protector, not something that everyone can do. Draymond's advanced defensive stats are always going to be good because he plays on a really good defensive team, but his per game numbers are all him. Not to mention that he's the vocal and emotional leader for arguably the league's best defense. That's saying something. After coming in 2nd for 2 years in a row, he really stepped up because he wanted it this year, and anyone paying attention knows it. So those are my picks for Defensive Player of the Year. But for the NBA, I see them making a minor tweak. I believe that Draymond will still win Defensive Player of the Year, and I believe that Rudy Gobert will finish a close 2nd. But after that, I see Kawhi breaking through simply because his reputation as the league's best defender. He fell off a lot on defense this season, but voters won't pay as much attention to that as I did, and he will get enough votes to finish in 3rd place. So what do you guys think? I can honestly say that the only thing I struggled with was 3rd place. I knew who 1 and 2 was before I even looked at stats and numbers. But let me know how you feel in the comments. Is Kawhi in your top 3? Do you think I'm crazy for including Andre Drummond? Do you think I was wrong to pick Draymond Green to win it? Let me know. Also, please don't forget to rate, share, and hit that subscribe button so you see what videos I have coming for you next. See you soon.